been tricked, we've been backstabbed, and we've been quite possibly bamboozled.
I mean, there I was, in the midst of a post-Christmas, pre-New Year's coma of wine and chocolate when Amazon tempted me with Nicolas Cage is back, and this time he's got a sword and an alien invasion knocking at his door. Humanity is on the brink of extinction as a being from another world returns to Earth to face off against the best warriors the human race has to offer. Then, I watched the trailer and twigged that this appeared to be a low-budget, sci-fi level quality film where what plot there was appeared to be Nicolas Cage
at the door! Screaming at the door!
Fights a knockoff Predator. And I was in because, well, Nicolas Cage
at the door! Screaming at the door!
Plus Predator plus terrible effects and plot and dialogue.
Yummy, yummy, yummy in my tummy, tummy, tummy.
Except, no. After all the hype, the finished product turns out to be the biggest letdown since my script guy told me he'd spent New Year's having dinner with an actual real live female member of the opposite sex when it later turned out that their Chinese set meal for 3 had been delivered to their house by a woman who had promptly fled the premises, country, planet at a rate of knots. Back on the film, and it's hard to know where to start. I mean, how do you mess up such a simple, bargain basement, impossible to screw up plot? How do you make said simple, bargain basement, impossible to screw up plot into a tedious, dull, hard to follow film? Even then, why did I watch the whole thing when the proper Predator was but 3 clicks away? Oh, right, I've never failed to see a film through to the end, and I'll be president of the James Corden fan club for allowing Jiu Jitsu to take my 100% completion rate away from me. Cats didn't manage it, and neither will this. Also, I was comfy, warm, half blasted, not in the mood to go through the effort of finding something else to watch. Anyway, as far as I could puzzle out the pointlessly overly complicated plot, every 6 years a comet causes a Stargate to open and a villain from a Doctor Who episode runs to Earth from a distant galaxy. If he has a good fight and kills 9 of the best fighters on Earth, he goes home happy before returning in 6 years for another scrap, and if not, then he wipes out the world. Somehow. Also, he apparently brought Jiu Jitsu to our world and expects everybody to use that. Whatever. We follow 1 year's sacrifices as they try to fight the Predator, Brax, in a bid to save the world from a martial arting alien armed with swords, spears, throwing stars, and a healing factor that Wolverine would envy. Which is a nice way of saying that any fight scenes featuring Brax are utterly tensionless, tedious, and look like something out of an episode of Power Rangers. Also, given that I'm not entirely sure that the humans had names, let alone characters, I just didn't care when any of them died. Nicolas Cage was good though, he's clearly having fun caging in this utter dross, and I wish he'd been in it more as his character does have a really interesting arc which just shows up how dull everyone else is. Especially our lead, guy? Who, given the first 5 minutes was just in my notes as Base and Jawn, as that's exactly the first 5 minutes, was basically a remake of. Not a bad idea for an audience POV character, but it doesn't help when 40 minutes in I still had no idea what was going on when the film's narrative really didn't need to be as complicated as it was. I mean, yes, the fight scenes were good. Mostly. Not quite sure what I thought of the cameraman becoming an active participant as it gave me hardcore Henry flashbacks, but it was an interesting diversion since I had no idea what was going on plot-wise and certainly didn't care about anyone on screen. So yeah, a terrible film that promised to be Nicolas Cage fighting the Predator turned into a terrible Jason Bourne meets Mortal Kombat film with worse dialogue.
Mother! You're alive! Too bad you will die.
And a quick cameo from Nicolas Cage. The narrative needed some serious streamlining, 10 to 15 minutes needed to go, a bunch of secondary characters needed to go, the number of leads needed to go from 9 to 5 and actually have some character, the baddie was tolerable, he just looked stupid and needed to have a completely different backstory. Am I done? Yeah, I think I'm done. I thought it would be terrible and it was, just not in the right way. Also, Cyprus looks as much like Myanmar as my flat looks like outer space, so I definitely think that you should skip it, but what did you guys think and what were you watching over Christmas and New Year's? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel, it's been a dunking. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe.